So here's an article by David Barnett of The Independent. Looks like a UK site. And this is talking about the Beyond Disney, why the blood-curdling fairies of old were to be seriously feared. What? And there's like this picture here.
There's like this picture and what?
Good job.
Okay.
And it looks like goblins with butterfly wings, basically. There's like a bunch of green people, picture. And there's like one.
Well, let's see it.
Okay, there's a red. There's a red
I
fairy.
assume they see it right
now. There's a green fairy. There's a white fairy.
Lamps, flowers.
Yep.
It's my kind of day. All right.
Yeah, it looks fun so far. Very Disney-like. Let's see how dark it gets.
I'll start us off. As Gracie Fields remind us at this time of year, every little girl would like to be the fairy on the Christmas tree. See, I don't think that's true. I think they'd rather be like the angel on top. Who puts a fairy on a Christmas tree?
I mean,
you got a plum fairy?
I guess.
They want to be a princess. They don't want to be a plum fairy.
Well, what's the thing from the Nutcracker? Isn't there a plum fairy in there? Or is that something else?
That's just the Nutcracker? I think that's a plum fairy. But no one wants to be the plum fairy. Anyway, whether it's the dance of the sugar plum fairy in Tchaikovsky's ballad The Nutcracker, or the two-winged creatures spreading magic and sparkle in the Mark and Spencer's highly successful viral marketing campaign in 2014.
What?
Do you remember that one?
No.
I don't know what that is.
It had ad block on at the time, so...
Fairies are inextricably intertwined with Christmas. Sure. It might have been an angel on top of Queen Victoria and Prince Albert's tree at Windsor Castle in 1941.
It seems like this person is just like they had some kind of childhood where they always fantasize like fairies being on, like maybe
this is
their childhood. They had fairies on the Christmas tree.
This is the UK. And that's what this is.
Yeah, maybe it's just a difference in culture.
They have fairies on their trees. Freaking weirdos.
With their chips.
With their fish and chips.
Their football.
Their football.
They don't have egg hand over there, or hand egg.
Their euros and pounds.
And their pence.
Their freaking pence. Don't get me started on their pence.
I mean, you Canadians for their loonies and toonies, though.
Take that back. You take that back right now.
Where were we?
I'm not.
Where were you?
In 1841, I was at the fairy on top of Queen Victoria and Prince Albert's tree in 1841. That kickstarted the modern craze for festive foliage in the house. But the tradition of festive fairies goes back further and to darker times. Hit me with that paragraph.
On the island of Shetland and Orkney, they call the fairies trolls.
Trolls, you say?
Probably linguistically related. My heart.
Well, he's dying.
Related with a Scandinavian troll. They were gray in color and lived underground, but 7 days before Christmas, or Yule as it was known before the great Christian takeover of the season. The trolls would emerge from their subterranean homes for feasting and frolics. What? So
those aren't fairies then, they're trolls.
I think that I'm saying trolls, but it's trows, like Trows. So
Trows.
If you would say like crows, but put a T there.
No, here's the thing. I think they're just called magical beings fairies. Tro is just the word for fairy, but these are trolls, without a doubt. These are not fairies.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
I guess these trolls had the word fairy first, I suppose.
Yeah, perhaps. I thought it was originally called fae, but you know.
Yeah, I think they confused the two somewhere along the line.
Come on, Independent. What are you doing? How about trolls?
The Independent, not the independent grocer, but the independent newsstand.
Right.
Feasting and frolics. The trolls would hold dances every night and steal food. They were partial to mutton and pork.
Oh my.
Delicious. Unless the canny islander had protected it by sticking a knife in it. They also liked to drink and would raid the beer and liquor from houses dotted about the island.
You know what it sounds like to me? Like somebody made up a fairy tale, quotation marks, because they're like, I like to eat my ham and drink my beer when everybody's asleep, but I don't want to hear anything from the wife. So the trolls did it.
Jorgen, did you drink all the beer? No, I didn't. Are you sure? Yeah, with the trolls.
The
trolls stole the beer.
The trolls did it again.
Jorgen, I believe you. Yeah.
You're finally awake.
So, Finally awake. All right.
Not again. Old legends, of course, from a long gone time, but perhaps not. Consider the tale of a man named Alfred Hall, who was harvesting Christian trees from the woods.
Christmas trees.
Near his home.
I guess the same thing.
Yeah, the Christmas trees from the woods near his home in New Hampshire in America. Horn thought he was alone in the darkening forest until he spotted a figure watching him. A curious creature just 2 foot tall.
No, that's just a child.
With green skin and elephant-like floppy ears.
That's just a mutated child.
Deciding to capture it as evidence, he made a grab for it. But it shrieked a blood-curdling scream and started a horn. So much that he made a run for it. This happened at Christmas, of course. December 15th. You haven't said that enough already? I mean, December 15th to be exact.
That isn't Christmas.
But it is a fairy story passed down from generations. It's happening... recently as 19. So wait, he's
yeah.
I keep tripping over. He's like, this is Christmas a few times, and he's like, it was December 15th. It's like, no, that's December.
Yeah, that's not Christmas.
Okay, so like, what was Christmas on December 15th back then? I'm confused.
Wait, so it didn't run away.
And he said it was 2 foot tall, green with floppy ears. That sounds more like a goblin to me. Mm-hmm. Do you remember anything in the goblins saying that they were fairy-like with wings? I don't remember.
Some of them are fairy-like.
I know, like one of them was like a demon Chinese.
The brownies are similar, I think.
Maybe.
Also, it screamed and he got scared and ran. It didn't run away. It just screamed.
Oh right, yeah.
It screamed at me when I ran.
Oh God.
Yeah, right, Alfred.
Be like if a bunny rabbit like screaming while you're trying to catch it.
Yeah, I'd be freaked out. It's gonna
get me.
I'd jump back. It's gonna bite me.
They do have some big teeth.
This story was passed down to generations. It happened as recently as 1956.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just assume it's real.
Oh, okay.
Sounds real, right?
And there's a passed out girl, and it looks like a girl's trying to feed her berries.
The reluctance to engage with new fairy encounters is what it looks
changing. Like. If she was like, "I told you not to eat the berries. You wouldn't eat them, but I told you they would kill you.
Stephanie,
you didn't listen.
Stephanie, you want this? If you don't say anything, I'm gonna eat it." She's sleeping. He's like, "Okay, I'm gonna eat it, but you gave me your permission." So it's hers, and she's just stealing it.
Right.
What a bad friend. Okay. Both of those stories are taken from a new book called Magical Folk: British and Irish Fairies. Sponsored. 500 AD to the present. Now do you say sponsored? Edited by historian Simon Young and folklore researcher Sari Holbrook. That Holbrook sounds familiar. I feel like I heard that word before. That name.
Perhaps.
This is a quite serious academic treatment of the history of good folk who have supposedly lived alongside us since time immemorial.
Oh my God.
So they're basically actual, like they're what we do, but way better and actually seriously with research
I mean, we do tons of research here. What are you talking about?
I have to type at least 3 sentences onto my keyboard before finding something with the academic merit.
Right? Yeah. It's
easily.
Hard work here.
It's hard. I have finger cramps.
Not everybody can do this.
Not everyone can. But
utilizing a battery of experts to offer regional takes on fairy folklore.
Hey, do we have a battery of experts on our side?
Maybe.
I'll make some calls.
Tomorrow. I think that the homeless guy down the street, he tells me a lot of stuff that I've never heard of before, and I'm pretty sure he's an expert.
Like, if you shove 2 fingers up around the gutter, sometimes you can find loose change.
I did not know where you were going with that at first. I'm like, whoa, now.
What do you think I was going to say?
Yeah. Young and Homer.
Oh, hold on. What do you think I was going to say? No, I don't.
Later now.
All right, we'll talk about this later.
Legends of sightings of Cornwall to the furthest northern reaches of Scotland and beyond, as the report from New Hampshire in the 1950s. Their work has been greatly aided by the relative recent phenomenon of old newspapers being digested. What?
Wait.
Digitized? Okay, never mind. Digitized, giving them access to snippets, nuggets, and curious little stories languishing for decades in the crumbling pages of old periodicals sitting in dusty archives.
Nice.
Young and Holbrook say that their introduction and the digitization of millions of pages of British and Irish newspapers and magazines means that local traditions, beliefs, and stories can now be reclaimed from 100 or 200-year-old pages of ephemera. Digitization
in the digital world.
Books in Britain and Ireland, particularly books about parishes, villages, and towns, means likewise it is feasible to find scarce and isolated references from works of the 18th to 19th centuries when fairies were more commonly cited. But what do we mean by fairies? For the purpose of this book, Young and Halford offer the definition magical living resident humanoids dwelling exclusively in Britain and Ireland, and some of the lands, for example America, where British and Irish migrants have settled. This book is not concerned with European fairies, of which there are many and diverse varieties. I'm probably going to cut that whole part out because that was just a bunch of not
this is just
anything.
Advertising for their new book.
Right.
What Young and Holbrook don't mean are the cute winged creatures popularized by Tinkerbell in Peter Pan, TM. Or at least not the Disney-fied versions of such. British fairies, they say, are not Disney-style tutu-clad magical creatures, but blood-sucking, bed-hopping folk living in a dangerous Tolkien parallel world.
What?
That's a mouthful.
Wow.
If that sounds disturbing,
that sounds awesome. Sounds like a metal song.
As some of the stories show, Cornwall is well known as a fairy haunt. Cornwall. Of course, it has to be Cornwall. I don't even... What's your favorite Cornwall fact?
It's like you throw a bunch of sticks onto like a pile and you take a picture and that's your band name. That's when you're true metal.
That sounds pretty metal.
Yeah.
With its charming sounding piskies, the knockers who lurk in tin mines, and the mischievous brigands. So they're akinning fairies to goblins.
Right.
As some of you may have heard in a goblin video.
Yeah.
I say video loosely.
What?
Because it's mostly sound.
Well, I mean, it was from our podcast.
Yes.
The main focus is our podcast, and then we do I do videos on the side for people who don't want to listen to this don't want to go to SoundCloud to listen, so they want to go and read along.
Read along
YouTube.
at home with you and your family.
That's right.
But not your little kid family. Don't let them listen. Who knows?
Yeah,
what
most
we
of
can
the
say.
stuff that we cover is probably not good.
It's pretty dark. Remember those crabs that ate you alive? Mm-hmm. Hilarious.
Or the clown that taught you how to do cannibalism and burn down a building with people still inside.
Hilarious.
So funny.
Hilarious.
Yeah, family friendly.
Very funny and hilarious. The mischievous
I've replaced Goose with a soundboard, if you can't tell.
Hello, my name's Goose. Hilarious. Very cool. Ronald M. James. Hilarious. This is a great soundboard of me.
Yeah, it is.
Let's see.
Less work.
Ronald M. James. Chapter on the country. Here recounts local legends that tell how sprites could be benign, but easily angered. The knocker in particular were quick to take umbrage. A miner called Tom Trevorrow refused to give the knockers a share of his metal. What a jerk. So they ruined his luck. There was more immediate retribution for another miner who spied on the knockers at work. They crippled him.
So the knockers were like the goblins that, if they liked the miners, they would do a little knocking sound for them to know that a cave-in was coming. But if they didn't like them, they would just knock really loud and make a cave-in happen.
Yeah, but
why would you anger them? They'd be like, dude, we just want a little bit of metal. And he'd be like, nah, I'm good, son.
Because maybe they didn't believe in them.
Literally, they were asking him for metal. I'm pretty sure that'd be kind of hard. I don't believe in knockers.
Maybe that's...
Hey, you know we're a knocker. Can we get us some metal?
You think?
Nah, get out of here.
Get out of here, you stupid knockers. My leg! Go!
Why is there a cave-in happening?
They, I don't know, it didn't say they showed themselves. I assume they made a weird knock in Morse code and he just didn't understand. Because they don't show, they're like ghosts almost. They're like, spooky, spectry
Well, I'm just
fairies.
going what's saying here.
Just taking it very literally.
Yeah.
They asked him for metal, so they ruined his luck. They, tied his shoelaces together.
Yeah.
And then the other one who spied on knockers at work.
They were like, hey, why don't you deliver some metal to our house and you don't run out of luck. It's like, what are you talking about? Let's just say your luck will run out if I don't see any metal at my house by the end of the day.
Why do you want my metal? It's like, oh, say, you got a beautiful family. Be ashamed if something were to collapse on top of them.
That's a beautiful horse you got over there.
What a lovely pair of shins you have. Would be a shame if I were to take my pickaxe and hit it.
Oh, my.
A real shame.
The rugged lands of Cornwall, Devon, and the far north of Scotland are the most fertile ground for fairy legend. But
as
he's
Young
not
and
even
Holbrook's
talking about
book
any
shows,
fairies here. Like, what?
Check out this book. Such folklore is taking root.
Oh, great.
That must be Kate.
She just went to work, though, didn't she?
Hello. Hello. Yeah. I'll come in just a minute. Thank you. Bye.
Really should have read through this before we try to start it.
Well, if you run through it, then it ruins it, right?
Yeah. This is like literally nothing.
He's
not talked about any fairies at all.
Let's skim the book parts, yeah? Fairies can find great mineral wealth. This is just the goblins.
Yeah.
Let's see. Until he shared his good fortune with others, angering fairies, dying mysteriously not long after. Such stories are not just passed down by oral tradition. Young quotes a register of deaths from parish records on the village of Lamplug. That's not how it's pronounced, but whatever. From the early 18th century, which lists 4 deaths in 5 years. That's what 18th century? I bet everyone died with this short span. Which cause given frightened to death by fairies. So heart attack, got it. Probably just old. Of course, folktales and superstitions around the world.
Here, how about this? I'll just cut out everything after the SCP, and we'll just do this quick little thing like afterwards. We're gonna talk about fairies. What we looked up ended up not being good at all. I just talked about somebody's book the entire time. I decided to just cut that out because all it was just basically advertising.
It's just
you ever seen those things like Ty Lopez, where he's like, here in my garage, got my new Lamborghini, but what's more what's more important than that? Knowledge. And then he basically talks for 2 hours saying nothing at all, and then at the end he's like, if you want to learn how to make money, come buy my courses.
Buy my book. I know I said I'd do this for free, but buy a book.
Yeah, pay money. And then you buy the book, and it's basically talking about nothing the entire time.
He's like, you gotta have
connections.
The end,
it's like, but to really know, you gotta buy my extra book.
Yeah, at the end of the book.
And then at the end of that book is like, you just gotta learn how to talk in circles, and then people will pay you money.
Sounds like Scientology. I'm just gonna throw that out there.
So my only real life experience I've had with a fairy that I thought was I was drunk one time at my friend's house, and they had a daughter that wasn't there, so we slept in the daughter's room. And I remember I woke up, and there's like a bright light outside her window, and I was like, what is that? So like some kind of porch light, and it was floating around, and I realized that it was just like a ball of light, and it looked like there was like a little fairy looking for
like a ghost
for a girl, or it could have been a ghost, phase, or
a dead fairy coming back to haunt you. That's my
phase are very magical, apparently.
Very, I mean, more so than me.
Maybe, apparently, with this book, it was talking about they kind of jived with the goblins in a way. Goblins was apparently in our last video we were talking about before the vampire one. We were talking about like the knockers and the brownies. And
more goblins.
Yeah, I just saw different goblins, and it's like, dude, like all I know is about World of Warcraft goblins, and they say time is money, friend.
Time is money, friend.
Sweet Jesus.
It's her again, Dad. All right, cool. Okay, good. Bye. Nice.
I'm gonna hate myself when I'm editing this. I hate it so much.
You could just put it as a joke.
Yeah.
Also, maybe at the end, put in our jokes we made earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
like
true.
those.
You know what? Maybe I'll just upload the whole thing just unedited.
Unedited.
You could just be like, I dislike this, or I like this, or I only made it 5 minutes in. That's what she said. But yeah. Next time on the Folklore Scrolls, we're gonna do a little bit more research than we usually do.
So
we'll actually look up Fae and find a good description of them without actually going into Wikipedia and reading for like 5 hours about every kind of Fae.
In case you want to know something right now, they're bloody monsters with the tails have brutal ends. That's what I'm seeing. And also now they're related to Christmas, I guess.
Somehow that's on December 15th.
Also, can I just say that why do fairies have specific ties to plums? Why is it always a sugar plum fairy?
Because they're just like the plums, dude.
Why not like a strawberry?
Have you ever seen
fairy?
a plum? I mean, it looks like a butt. I think they just like butts.
Peaches, though. Peach fairy. That doesn't sound good at all. Also, if you put a fairy with any other kind of fruit, like a blueberry fairy, a strawberry fairy, it rhymes and it sounds nicer. Sugar plum fairy only sounds nice because of a nursery rhyme. But if you had them back to back, you're like, yeah, but the blueberry fairy.
Right.
You gotta get those blueberry fairies.
Anyways, on the next Folklore Scrolls, we're gonna do actual work and research our topic.
And then we'll blather on about nothing.
Yeah!
Like my dad always taught me.
Oh boy! Well, holla at you later. God, it's so bad.
It's pretty bad. But goodbye anyway.
Bye.